Hi friends, it's Sarah from rufflesandrainboots.com, and today I'm going to be sharing all of the Halloween witch gnome inspiration. I'm going to show you shelf sitters, hanging gnomes, little round rotund gnomes, how to make a witch's hat with a posable brim, and so much more. If you'd like to make it, just stick around, and these are pre-recorded videos. Hi there friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rain Boots, and today we're making this spooky witch gnome. She's super cute, easy, and boop! If you'd like to make her, stick around. Now we are going to start out with some regular materials. We're going to make a nose and some hands, so grab some clay. We're also going to take a no-sew gnome pattern. This is one of mine, and it's on special if you sign up for my newsletter list. We're going to alter it, and we're going to share a witch gnome hat, some apron materials. So we're going to share a lot of stuff with you here. We're also going to talk about some watercolored merino wool, some very plush fleece, and some premium felt. But before we get started,
hi, I'm here with a friendly gnome reminder to subscribe. How? Just click that red subscribe button below and then the bell for turning on all notifications. Now let's get back to Sarah and the crafts.
Okay, so we are going to start by making the nose and the hands, and I'm just using some polymer clay here. You can use air dry clay. It does crack a little bit more, but we're just going to shape it into a nice rounded off triangle. It's going to stick straight out, so based on whatever size gnome you'd like to make, you can make this after your gnome body is created. Now I used a little teeny tiny bit of dark green gnome, but you can use purple or whatever, and I gave her a nice ugly wart. Bam! Okay, so we're also going to make 2 small balls for the hands, and then we're going to bake that and let it cool completely. Next up, we're going to take that no-sew gnome pattern, wow, for the body, and I'll put that link below, but what we're going to do is we're actually going to make it a little bit wider and a little bit taller. I wanted her to be sort of tall and thin, kind of spooky. We're going to assemble it per the instructions. I speak the English most days. And once it's dry, we are going to flip it over and fill it. I'm using poly beads, and of course I have to spill some. We're also going to stuff the top all the way up to that tippy top there with polyfill. And then you're going to roll it in your hands, distribute it. And so now we're going to make the witch hat. So if you have black stiff felt, use that. I have this premium felt that I totally have to use, so I'm just using a bowl to cut a round circle. A round circle. That's ridiculous. But anyway, you can actually cut 2 of those circles. So just FYI, when you cut them, we're going to cut out a center. I'm using the size of a ribbon, you know, like a spool of ribbon. And so all I'm going to do here is cut along the line that I traced with my X-Acto knife, just so it'll be nice and even. And then I cut 2 of these. You don't have to, but I just like to finished hat because I wanted to pull the hat back. Okay. All right. So now we're going to create the other portion of the witch's hat, which is the cone. And it's super simple. You can decide how thick you want it, but here we are. We created a fold. We cut our pattern. And now we're just going to make it into a cone. This is a super duper easy no-sew gnome. She is, you know, standing, and so what I'm going to do is share that shoe video in a separate series. They're super easy to make, and they're so much fun. So you'll see that video soon if it's not already out. It depends on which ones I have to get edited first. And so now that we've got our cone all the way made, we're going to pull it down on the round part. No, other way around. We're going to put the round part onto the cone and pull it down. There you go. And then see this bottom bit here? We're going to cut strips. No, what are they called? Flaps. I am not supposed to be editing videos today. Apparently I cannot speak. Okay, so we're going to cut these flaps all around, and you're just going to make them about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. There's really, I don't think I made them even. I mean, and all I'm going to do is flip them up. See? It's kind of hard to see black on black, but you flip them up and then you just put a little hot glue right under the flippity flaps, and you do that all the way around, and then you cover it with the other circle you made. Woohoo! See? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And now you can't see any of the flaps. And now your witch's hat is done. Oh, but now this is a fun little, I love making braids, and merino wool is just so soft that I love it even more. All I'm going to do is take a long set, because I want very long braids. I'm going to take and rip off pieces of the merino wool, and then I'm going to color them with watercolor. That's it. Let them dry, and then biggity bam, you have this. So we're just going to divide it into 3 pieces, braid them, however long you want. Again, I chose very long braids because I wanted this to be the focus. And you just braid them all down. You're going to tie it off at the top and the bottom. I'm using embroidery thread, which I don't even remember the color. And then I just brushed out the bottom and then I snipped. See that? Boop. And now it looks like the end of a broom. Or it does to me. Let's just go with that. And now I'm just test fitting here. And then, of course, I'm going to speed all this up. You're going to do it all over again. It takes considerably longer than this shows. Okay, so now you have these two braids. And then you're just, let's put the hat extra on. So I have a Cricut machine. I have this free file in case you all want it. It's a skinny little design that says eek. Do you like that? Eek. I'm so good at the sound effects. So anyway, you just place it down and then we use the cutest little teeny tiny tool ever, the mini press from Cricut. And then I do love this thing. I'm not going to lie. This is a happy place in my craft room. And then we have eek on the hat. If you don't have that, you can use stickers or you can cut it out of vinyl yourself. They're not that hard to cut out with scissors. And then all we're going to do is put our braids on and then position those however you want them. I wanted the kind of fluffier part in the front. So I just glued them at the top. And then if you want, you can glue them all the way down. I just measured the other one to where it looked the same. And then we're going to stick on the hat. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue down because I'm going to tip the hat backwards later, okay? So I'm going to put down the nose first and make sure that I have the front exactly where I want it. And then we're going to add a little bit of glue to the brim of the hat and put that right on the nose because I really like when the top of the nose is covered. This is personal preference. And then I'm going to flip it back and yank down the hat. You don't have to do that. I just wanted it tipped up. So you don't have to make this either. Again, we have a pattern for optional arms. You're going to leave the very end open for our ball, our little clay ball for the hand. And then you're just going to hot glue hem that, cut it in half, and the two open ends are where we're going to insert our clay balls. Now this I also did, which was kind of fun. I don't have any black lace, and because of COVID, I can't go to the store. So I painted some lace. Ta-da! Now it's all witchified. Okay, so now it's time to make our lady. Hello, lady. We're just going to add a little bit of hot glue, and we're going to tuck that arm right up under the witch's hat. Biggity bam. Super easy. We're going to repeat on the other side. Hello. Now, you can choose to glue the hands on, but I'm making an outfit. So this is my little apron. I just cut a square and then I hemmed that piece of lace so it was doubled over and gave it a nice little top hem here with hot glue. And then I just hot glued that right to Miss Lady. Hello, lady. And then we just set it all the way around, give her a little bit of a belt, like a tie, you know, and I just hot glued that down as well. Hello. And then I gave her some straps. No sewing required. I'm loving these projects. Now, these are the super duper cool kicks that our witch is wearing. I get really excited about gnome shoes. So anyway, I will put that pattern link down below as well, but wait for the video. It's super cool. We are going to add a generous portion of hot glue there, and we're going to set our lady on top. Now we're going to accessorize her with her little hands. It's always nice. And then I found a little tiny pot at the craft store, no, at the Dollar Tree, and I added a little felt in it and glued it to her. And what do you think? She's done. What do you think? Do you like her? I've made one of these short and squatty years ago. I shared it on my Facebook page. It went crazy. So this is her now. Let me know in the comments, will you make her? And be sure to check out that shoe tutorial below. I have a ton of them coming as well. Thank you so much for being here. Please like this video and subscribe to Ruffles and Rain Boots. Hi there, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rain Boots, and today we're making the Sanderson sisters boop, boop, boop from Hocus Pocus. If you'd like to make them, stick around. As always, please give this video a like so I know you're here with me, and we're going to have a little prep work. We're going to do clay and hair. So first things first, we're going to make one little bead nose, 6 hands, so repeat that for smaller hands, and then make 2 kind of wonky noses, one really big for Winifred and a middle-sized one. So 3 noses, 6 hands. Get those baking and then get out watercolor and any color or any kind of faux fur that you have. We're just going to paint a reddish brownish color, which will lighten up. and a blonde and a black. So after you brush them out, you'll notice they get a little bit lighter, but what we're going to do is mold the hair pieces. So we're going to have all three of these sisters here. The rest of the supplies are going to be in that link down below. There's a lot of stuff I didn't use in this picture, but first,
Here with a friendly gnome reminder to subscribe. How? Just click that red subscribe button below and then the bell for turning on all notifications. Now let's get back to Sarah and the crafts.
okay, so we are going to repeat the same process for all the sisters, so I'm only going to show you one. We're taking these very, very long thigh-high socks, and we're just going to make sock gnomes. We're going to cut them off at about an ankle length because we do need a pretty strong base. We're going to fill it with weight, and we're going to add polyfill to the top before we tie it down. Now, as for the height, you can do a small one at 6 inches. You can do a taller one. It just needs to be kind of heavy. We are going to tie that off and secure it with a little hot glue. Now, we have a whole rest of the piece of sock here. So what we're going to do is about 6 inches from that top ribbed portion, we're going to cut it off to however tall you would like it. Mine are more than 2 feet, and then we're going to cut it at an angle so it comes to a point, and that way we can just hot glue hem it all the way down. Okay, so this is really easy. You just turn it inside out, take that one side, and just gently add a bead of glue. You are going to wait until this dries. Don't try and turn it before it does dry, because you will poke your finger right through it. But once it is dry, you're just going to use a chopstick or an eraser end of a pencil to get that tip out. And then we're going to stuff it full of polyfill at the top, rolling it in between our hands to really distribute it. Then we're going to take a pretty long piece of floral wire, at least 12 to 18 inches. We're going to curl down the top and the bottom in just a second, and we're going to press that up, fill the rest of it with polyfill, again rolling it in our hands, and you can start bending and shaping these any way you'd like. So when we put it on the sock gnome body, we make sure to put that wire, again you've turned down the bottom, all the way into that body. We don't want it coming out. And we're going to just look at the nose here so we can get sizing, but do not glue it on yet. Now for Winifred, who's the most notable sister, what we're going to do is we're going to use a rectangle piece of fabric, and we're going to cut a trapezoid out of the middle with 2 rounded edges. Okay, so you can see here we've got our little trapezoid piece cut out. We'll do one side here and just yank it off, do another side here, and then it leaves you with this sunglasses shape. And what we're going to do is just stuff the circle portion with polyfill and give it a hem all the way around, so you're creating a pom-pom of sorts. Now I will advise you, don't be afraid of a needle and thread. If I had to do this over again, I would choose a needle and thread plus a running stitch just to make this go a whole lot faster, because you do have to wait for the hot glue to dry. So just tip number 1. See, that's the pom-pom. It stays all on its own. Do that for the other side again, and pull out some braids or some bangs for her face. So now what we're going to do is make a really simple apron. Again, you can doll these up with the lace. You can put black aprons on them, collars, frilly bits, whatever. I'm just doing pleats. And so all I'm doing is I'm pleating the front, you can see here, and then I'm going to lay over the back edge and then glue that down as well. You can see it's just a cute little pleat. I'm going to repeat it on the other side, except I'm going to put it in towards the center instead of going the same way as the other side. Just pull it in towards the center. It's really easy. And then you lay it down. See? Boop. Just lay it down. And again, you could do this in like 3 seconds with a needle and thread as well, but you guys asked me for hot glue. Here you go. So you're just going to make sure to put it all the way around, give it a glue down, and then don't glue the front down. But if you don't have an even piece like me, just cut that off the bottom. I cut a small little rectangle and tucked it in the front of her dress so that I could make the apron pieces, and 2 tiny little rectangles for her straps. That's it. That's all I did. And I just glued it down. Everything gets glued down. Yay. Our little gnomes are coming together. The last piece for her dress is just to tie on a sash, or put on a sash. I mean, don't tie it on. Okay, now we're going to glue down her nose. Now I made a honking nose, so put a generous bit of hot glue there. And then also use the ribbing of the sock and glue it down onto the actual clay nose. Easy, she's cute, right? Okay, so we're not going to need to do the front of the hat anymore, so go ahead and tack those down about 1 inch away from the nose. And now, Hot glue on Winifred's hair. See how solid it is? It becomes really, really solid when you get it all together. So just add a generous portion of glue, stick it down, and you can position her little bangs. If you do want arms, cut 2 pieces of that excess sock fabric. You're going to hot glue hem the inside so nothing frays, and then you're just going to fold it over on itself. Boop! And you can put wire in these if you want them to be bendable. And you're going to repeat that for the second side. And then you're just going to squish down one end, add a little hot glue, and then stick in one of the clay beads. You can use wooden beads or pom-poms, whatever you have, and then snip off anything that's ugly, like I did there. Repeat for the second arm, and then for your sizing, just make sure you can hide the arm up under the brim of the hat. Add a little hot glue, and you're done with that. I mean, you got to do the other side. So then you're done with that. And now all of the sisters' bodies are going to be made the same way. Hello, Winifred. So we're going to start on the second sister, and I just want to tell you, I'm only going to show you the parts that are different. So Miss Sister Mary has a rectangle of black fur. I am going to fold it into a trapezoid shape, okay? So I'm going to fold down the bottom a little further away than I'm folding down the top. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So the back doesn't matter. It's going to be pressed straight up against our sock gnome, but we do want the sides to be generously portioned with fur. So then I'm going to squish the top together. I just cut a very thin piece of faux fur and tied that around the top so that it looks like hair. But you could put a cute little tie and a bow or a rubber band or something. I secured it with hot glue. And then I hot glued the whole mamba jamba to the front of Sister. And then here you are. Bam! There's Sister Mary. Okay, we're going to repeat it again for the final Sanderson sister. So everything else is the same. And here's my sister Sarah, my namesake. We're going to take a thin piece of faux fur, about the length of it doubled over her body, over her nose. And then very similar to how we make a handlebar mustache for a gnome, we're going to point the edges and we're going to fold the faux fur backing in on itself so that everything looks like hair. And you're going to do that for both sides. So get those down. And then you're also going to squish together that middle piece. And then look, you just put it on Miss Sarah. Hello, Sarah. And you're done. You can dress them up. You can change them. You can, twist their little hats. These things are like 2 feet tall. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section. Boop, if you're going to give them a make. Hey, thank you so much for being here. As always, please like and subscribe to Ruffles and Rain Boots. Hi friends, it's Sarah from rufflesandrainboots.com, and today I'm sharing 2 mini witch gnomes and a peek of my craft room that's not set up. If you'd like to make it boop and boop, just stick around. As always, I really appreciate you being here. Please like so I know you're here crafting with me. So we're going to make these 2 quick cuties, and we're going to start with him. We're going to use some faux fur. This is Mongolian in frosted gray, embroidery thread, a needle, and then any noses you want. I've got some clay, wood beads, wood rounds, and even some half Easter eggs. I'm using stiff felt and any kind of base. You can actually build this entire thing without a base, but people seem to like using styrofoam or pool noodles. So just cut off a little piece of a pool noodle, use a ball, whatever you've got on hand. I'm going to use my blue tape roll as a basis for my hat. This is the brim cut out of stiff felt. I sped that up. I don't really cut circles that fast, which is why I have a Cricut machine. Here's a tip on a witch hat. You will never cut the height shorter than the width of your brim. So just pop your brim on there, look and see how big it is, and cut just that size. It'll be the perfect proportion. You're going to cut out a square. Now this is stiff felt. So what we're going to do is wrap it around something cylindrical. So I'm using a pencil here, just getting that really solid straight bit out. And then you're just going to take one side and roll it to the other edge. You're going to make it however thick you want and just glue the middle. Do start with the middle, it's easier and you won't burn yourself. So just pop that on there, hold it for a hot second. Stiff felt will bend backward if you don't hold it. So give it a little second, put together the top, put together the bottom. And now you're gonna say to me, but Sarah, there's this ugly piece on the bottom. I know, we're just going to cut that off. Now, you don't have to be precise about this because honestly, it's a witch's hat, but you do want to get it mostly straight. So just pop it down on the table, and if it doesn't wobble, you're good. See that? All right, let's clean up our space here and move on. I'm going to use this styrofoam ball that I obviously drew a line and have no idea what it was for, but I need it to fit a little tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly fold the brim in half both ways and make a tiny little snip so that I can get my scissors in there. Now don't go wild with this or you'll be cutting another brim. What we want to do is just cut a tiny little bit, maybe at most a ½ inch around the brim. And the reason I say that is because in the next step, after we put on the fur, is when we're really going to size this opening for the fur. Speaking of which, this is Mongolian. I get people sending me pictures on the right and the left wondering what it is. The right is just brushed out. The left is just crinkled up with your fingers. It's really the most awesome fur. All right, so what we're going to do is cut a piece of fur that's going to go around your little foam. So again, if you're using an Easter egg, if you're using a scrap of a pool noodle, whatever it is, grab a razor blade or an X-Acto knife, cut only the fur backing. You just need to score it because what you want to do is yank it apart and get this nice long fur without hacking any off. So I have a little bit up at the top here that I'm going to cut off, but not toss. Never toss faux fur. It's an expensive item. All right, so now I'm just going to make sure the pile is pointing down and we're going to wrap this around. Oh no, it's too small. Sorry, I'm feeling a bit lively today. So it is too small, but do not worry because all we're going to be doing is joining this thing at the bottom anyway. Now I've shared an entire video on how to piece together faux fur without anybody knowing, but I'm going to show you again here. We're just going to glue this on as far as that fur will get around. Okay, move it out of the way. And then we're going to glue this bottom bit. Make sure you bring those two pieces into the middle. And then you're just going to glue a little bit underneath so that we make sure that fur is going to adhere to our ball or egg or whatever. And when you brush it out, oops, you still see that hole in the back, right? Watch. Looking good, looking good. There's a hole. Okay, so what we're going to do is take that little scrap of fur that we had before and hack off a little piece that's going to fit the backing on the inside of the backing of our piece here. So what we want to do is fill only the backing hole. Don't overlap the fur backing, okay? I could say backing like 5 more times and it would be even more annoying. Sorry, I just want to make sure. I'm going to put that link to the video up so that you can know how to piece together faux fur. All right, so now that we have our fur on, now we're going to expand very slightly our cut. So we're going to do 2 things. Number 1, we're going to just expand them like 1/4 inch or so at a time to make sure we don't go too big. And then we're going to split the triangles. So what I'm doing is instead of having 4 separate triangles, I'm going to get 8. And that's going to allow for the best fit and the best adhesion. So you can see now when you pull it down, you're just going to pull it down to where it just covers the fabric. So I'm going to show you in just a second. I'm going to glue this part on at the bottom, leaving the top open, pulling it all the way around. And you can see if you look on the underside, there's no white ball showing. That's the goal. All right, now that we have that, you're going to see me burn myself because apparently I forgot how to craft while moving from Seattle to Texas. I'm going to go get my little thingies so I don't burn my fingers. Glue all those little tabs down. You want to make sure they're pretty secure. Isn't this easy? I love easy crafts. I figured I had to get myself back into crafting with something light and simple. All right, so now I'm just going to take the embroidery thread and some bright orange and a needle and embroidery thread. I'm just going to create a quick hanger for this. Double knot it, and now decide on a nose. I have a clay, a wood, and this little half Easter egg, which are for a different project I cannot wait to share with you, but I thought it looked like a cool nose, so it became a nose. I split the fur to the fabric backing, added glue, and then put on the nose. I'm going to give you a hint about this. Your best bet is to do nothing at all. After you put the glue on just the raised part of the brim and the inside edge of the cone, you're going to attach these and sort of squish the cone. I don't know why I just had to stretch out my hands there, but you're just going to squish the bottom of the cone onto the rise of the brim, okay? So those little triangles. Your best bet is not to mess with it. Just get it on there, adhere it, and then stop. Okay? Watch. I'm going to show you. I just barely get it on, and if you move it, it will still move because it's not solid yet. So I'm showing you here. I let it sit and then set it aside so it could sit some more. Dollar Tree for the win here. I have spider skulls and bats. I'm going to cut off the ring portion and use this bath brush I got from the Dollar Tree as ribbon. A while back I made this just to get back into my new craft room, and I used this as the ribbon. I really liked it actually because I also used it on the book that I crafted for that to sit on. So if you are looking for something a little spooky and creepy, this is a real fun option, and it tears really well. It doesn't stay knotted on its own, so I'm just going to add a little bit of glue into some strategic places and then hack off the edge. I just want it kind of hanging off. So again, I'm going to cut this little bat down to size, glue it on the side, and then use my heat gun to get all of my glue strings off, brush out his luscious fur, and here he is. And you can also see my craft room is blank. So I just put up those pieces of furniture, and we'll be stocking them soon. All right, so what do you think of this guy? Let me know down in the comments. And now that we have him done, we're going to move on to this. So for our mini witch, I'm using a 3-inch cone made of wood that I got on Etsy for a different project, but I saw it. We're going to use some faux fur black chalkboard paint from the Dollar Tree and a wood bead for a nose. So I'm going to trace the bottom of the cone and then add a 1/2 inch. This is a great way you can do this with big styrofoam cones and small ones. You're basically just going to create a bigger brim than the base of your body. So I'm just going to cut that out real quick and paint my wooden cone with the chalkboard paint, hit it with the heat gun, and then paint the bottom as well so I have none of that natural wood showing. Next up, I'm going to fold the hat the same way as I did before to get a tiny little snip. Now for this one, do be very careful. I am just going to show you, okay, that's a little small. Let's do a little bit more. But I'm going to show you how you get the tip is just by cutting off 2 of the 4 little triangles, okay? And the best part about this is you can hit your stiff felt with a heat gun very lightly, and you can even bend the brim. All right, so now you can see this is what my little hat is gonna look like, so tiny. I'm also going to cut 2 tiny snips of faux fur from that fabric scrap, and I'm just gonna create a little square and then another little square to match it using the same method to cut the faux fur as I used before. I'm going to glue the backing together so you'll have a front and a back. And just repeat that for the other piece as well. And those are going to be my braids. No, I'm not braiding them because I would think that that would be a study in frustration. I'm trying to ease myself back in. So I just glued those to either side of my little cone, making sure that the join was at the back and making sure they were mostly even on the body. There you go. All right, now the cool part is you can put the hat down and just slightly pull it over the top. Okay, not that far because I got a little poking out there. But what you're going to do is pull it down slightly over the top of the faux fur and then glue that hat into place. Do a tiny little dot in the front, which we'll cover with the nose, and then do some in the back as well. For the nose, I'm just going to glue it to both the body and the brim of the hat, and I'm just going to hide the hole pointing up. There you go. Right there. And that's done. For my accent to match my hanging, which I just added a tiny little piece of that same orange embroidery thread and did a swirl on the top of her hat just by tacking it down in a few places. It's super cute. My daughter came home and said, "I love the swirl." For the bat accent, after I hit it with the heat gun to remove any of those heat strings, glue gun strings, I hit the bat with the heat gun and then let it cool over the top edge of the bottle, and that conforms the bat to the little top of the witch's hat. Boop! And there you can see it's solid on there, and she's done. I love her. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite, the tiny little girl or this hanging fella. As always, thanks for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe for more crafty fun. Hi friends, it's Sarah from rufflesandrainboots.com, and today I'm making scrap busting gnomes. They are round. very, very round with pre-made hats. And if you would like to make them, just boop, boop, stick around. As always, please give this video a like so I know you're here. It helps me out so much. All right, so this is what they look like. They are super cute. They're tiny or they're big, and they're basically whatever size you want to make them. Perfect for tiered trays, perfect to tuck in at the end of a craft booth. All right, so to get started, I just want to tell you, it took me 25 minutes for both of them. And these hats were given to me by one of our viewers, hello Linda, who said she has a lot of these and didn't know what to do with them. So just as a reference, these are purchased from Joann's and or Michael's, she couldn't remember, but they're 2 inches in that inside head area. We're going to use some regular gnome making supplies, weight, fluff, and fabric. This, I'm going to start with the farmer gnome. I'm using an 8-inch circle. This is a dinner plate. And so I'm just going to trace it onto the flannel. That's it. You can use a sewing marker, chalk, whatever. You can also use, there you go, a compass that you maybe appropriated from your daughter's craft supply. Just saying. All right, so we're just going to cut that out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is not going to be seen. So just go ahead and cut that out quickly. In the center, you're going to put your weight. So I'm just going to add this hot glue with, it's regular hot glue. It's not fabric hot glue or anything, just regular hot glue in these Dollar Tree rocks. I think they're vase filler, not real sure. And then I'm going to get a sturdy string of some kind. I have twine always, so I cut a bit of that. And then I'm going to add my fluff in the middle. You can use extra fabric scraps, cut-offs, whatever. And then this gets really technical. Ready? You just gather it up. So pinch the center in between, bring up the side, pinch that in between, bring up the other side, pinch that in between. And then as you bring in the edges or the corners, just go ahead and just push the fluff in towards the center so it doesn't come out the sides, and then gather it all up in your hands like so. And there's his booty. Okay, so then you're just gonna wrap a couple of times. I would recommend double times, and then wrap it around 2 times, and then knot it, and maybe triple knot it, because basically this is our entire thing here. So make sure that you can drop it, and there you go, and it kind of levels itself out. And you can even pull up the sides and make sure you like the pleats and where everything is for the back of him. But basically I'm just going to double knot it here and add hot glue so that it's sure not to ever come undone, and then snip that off. That's it. All right, so now the fun part, we get to decide what fur we want. So I'm gonna give you a little thing because I know people are gonna ask me. This is a swatch of fur from fabric.com. So it's a swatch, it's about $3. The bad part is that they cut it with fluff and you end up making a little fluff monster. But once you pull it all off, it's good for next time. All right, so I'm gonna make a 2-inch beard, cutting about a 1/2 inch down, and then just a U shape. Just like so, cutting only the fabric backing. So can you cut fur with scissors? Yes. Is it super duper slow? Yes. So just use a straight blade of some kind, a razor, an X-Acto knife, anything. All right, pull that off and make sure you can find the front, like whatever you want for the front, but there's going to be one where it's not quite even, but it always points up. You want that one. So you want the one that points up. And then we're just gonna glue this little piece of fur right around. That's it. Are you impressed at how easy this craft is yet? So I used a new fur, but this is obviously scrap busting because you only need about 8 inches square of fabric, and you only need a couple of inches worth of fur. I am going to pull it around my center piece so it kind of fans out on the side. All right, so next up is a nose. I'm going to use some pre-made clay ones that I have only because I felt that the wood was a little too close to this blonde fur. It's only about a 2-inch pile fur. If you use a Mongolian, do make sure that your circle is a little bit bigger. Otherwise, it's just gonna be swallowing up in it. All right, so attach the nose. I'm going to split the fur to its fabric backing using the ends of my scissors. I mean, you can use a pencil, your fingernail, whatever. Just make sure that you can see the fabric backing and then add the hot glue right to that, and then press your nose in, giving it an intense nose boop. Mine is uneven, so I was trying to find the best part of the nose. These are old clay noses. I love making noses from polymer clay. All right, so here he is. Look at him, he's so cute. Okay, now for the hat. So I've never seen these hats, so I have no idea if there's a front or if there's a back. So I don't really know if I did this right, but basically I wanted the nose to show, so I put the shorter side in the front. So that's the bigger side, but you see right there, it's a little shorter. So I don't know if that's right, but you could see his little face better, or lack of face better. So that's what I did. And to attach it, again, really technical, I put a whole bunch of hot glue on the top of that and then pressed it down. Yep, that's what I did. And then I put some on the top of the nose so that it would always be, you know, down on the front. There you go. Again, really technical. And then just to secure it, because again, like dogs and kids and transit and everything, I just added a bit of hot glue. I pulled the hat, or pulled the body down, and then added the hot glue and then pressed the body into the hat. So yeah, that's it. That's the whole craft. I think he's super cute, but I made him a little pipe. Like I kind of was trying to make it a corncob pipe, but then I got really lazy, so I just cut off 2 pieces of differently sized dowels, and then I took a marker and made a little middle part and then glued them together. Oh, if you are better at these kinds of things, make yourself a wheat, you know, like one of a piece of wheat that you can be chewing on or something, but I'm not. So in order to attach it, I just lifted up the fur and like kind of pulled it away and then put this down right onto the fabric backing of that fur. It's kind of tucked up under the nose as well for a little stability, but this is what his back looks like. His gnome booty. All right, so setting that one aside, I was going to use this cute buffalo check, but then I figured why not try a different material than flannel to see if it worked, right? Because these are all experiments for me. I don't have a plan. They all pretty worked out, so that's nice, but they pretty much worked out. But I did a 10-inch circle for this one and did it the exact same way. So put my rocks in, put some fluff in, but because this one was so thick, I ended up going and doing a running stitch about a 1/2 inch from the edge all the way around. And the reason I did that is because I needed to control how much bulk was going to be in the top of that hat. So yeah, just throw those extra fabric scraps in there, some stuffing. I wanted to make her robust. And then that happened. So I redid the entire thing with a little bit of stitching, and then I cut braids, or ponytails actually, because I was too lazy. So for these, I took a 1/2 inch of fabric and then I just glued it in the fabric backing, just picked it up and glued it together. That's it. If you don't have one of those awesome little hot glue handle thingies, let me know if you want to know where I got it. It's cool. All right, then I glued those on, put a little hot glue right on the nose on the front and on the top of that big fabric thing, all the way around the back. And then I just added a little bit of ribbon that I got from one of the craft stores. And then I found these little spiders that I used to scare my daughter many, many years ago. Anyway, stuck one of those on the front and stuck one of those on the back. And I looked for the little brooms that I had bought, you know, last year, and I couldn't find them. But she'd be cute with a little broom, right? All right, I dovetailed the back of the, not dovetail, I don't know what that's called, but I made them look pretty and burned the ribbon on the edge. That one got fire. And then this is them. So these are really cute. You can make sachet gnomes this way really super easily. So if you have anything that you want to use up some supplies, these scrap busting things are perfect. If you come across the tiny hats, they're super. Let me know down in the comments below which one is your favorite. As always, thanks for being here, and why not watch another gnome video? I have plenty. Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rain Boots.com, and today I'm sharing a clay pot gnome with a brim hat and a fun beard. If you'd like to make it, just boop, stick around. As always, please give this video a like so I know you're here crafting with me. Now this one is fun. I know not everybody shows you the front, back, sides. I am completely transparent. I'm going to show you all the little pieces we made here. A little moss, a little floral brim, and we're just going to start with this. So if you haven't seen the video on how to create a pattern in faux fur, I'll link that down below. I'm using a flannel, a white painted clay pot I got at the Dollar Tree. This one is 3 inches. A 4-inch paper mache cone. Now, if you don't have it, just grab some craft paper and make your own. This is the craft paper I use, which is the Cricut brand, but you can use anything, poster board. I'm going to be using the Dollar Tree floral wire. I'm also going to be using a fine tip detail glue gun and an iron because I have to iron my wrinkly fabric, little tiny flowers, and reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree. All right, so to get started, I'm just going to iron this. This is a very thin flannel from Joann's Craft Stores. Comes in a ton of colors, but it is very thin. So I'm just going to trace for my brim of my hat the bottom of the open end of the pot. Next up, I'm just going to put a little chalk around the edges so that I can get the shape. I'm going to put right sides together on this and then pin it in the center so that I can cut out this circle. Now, doesn't matter what size brim you want. If you want a huge brim, measure 8 inches or 6 inches, but we just want to make sure that it's circular-ish. That's a measurement. Doesn't have to be exact. But we are going to have a nice bendable brim with this method. To cover the paper mache cone is super easy. You don't need a pattern. We do, however, need to do 2 cuts or so. The first is a rough cut, just wrap the entire thing, making sure you have excess on the bottom and the top. Get that, and then get a little bit more detail. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it and make sure we have at least 3/4 of an inch overhang at the bottom. So just scoot that down. See that? Then when we wrap, we're going to make sure we have at least about 1 inch to 1.5 inches on the top. That's it. Now, we are going to put a bendable item in here, so I like the little hook of the top of the hat, so just make sure you measure that. And again, easy way to measure out the bottom edge is just to fold over this bottom fabric. Just crease it a little bit when you're rolling. You'll see I'll do that here. After I get my positioning, just crease it. It helps hold it in place. And then what that's going to do is allow you to cut off the bottom, and then we'll cut off the side and sort of make sure we don't have too much excess. So what I'm going to do here is just cut up that side that my cut is really wonky because it was a rough cut. So I'm just making it a little bit straighter for here. And now you can sort of see a little shadow down, like a curve down here at the bottom where we thumbed it. So I'm just going to cut so that actually is about 3/4 of an inch, no less than 1/2 inch. I use 3/4 of an inch as a seam so that we can cut tabs and glue it on the inside of the cone. Easy peasy. All right, so now we're just going to attach it. So use a bead of hot glue right on the very edge of the fabric, and then just place your cone there. We're going to let that set while we prepare our pipe cleaner. This pipe cleaner is also from the Dollar Tree. I've got to start using all these wonderful finds at the Dollar Tree before it goes up to the $1.25 tree in my area. So I'm just going to double up this pipe cleaner and make sure that I'm using the top portion, which is the doubled over version, at the top of the cone, so that the wire doesn't poke through. All right, get that in place, and then we're just going to glue it right as close to that seam as we possibly can. So I'm going to turn around this and show you. Yeah, so I'm going to just glue it right in here, and that way our seam is all wonky, all in the same spot, right? Just make sure you line up the top so you've got that edge up at the top, and the bottom will go right up into the bottom of the cone. So put a little glue on that, and then be sure to glue down your pipe cleaner directly to the fabric before you start rolling it up. That's all. Now I will say, if you are using a thin flannel or a light colored cotton, be sure to spread out your hot glue. So if you were to just put your hot glue here, you'd have bumps, like some crazy bumps. And so I'm just using the tip of the glue gun to sort of spread that glue out and make it flat. You could actually probably even use Aleene's tacky glue here, like a craft glue. You don't even have to use hot glue. All right, so I'm just going to keep going all the way around, making sure that I'm spreading out that glue. Whoops, got to pull that apart now. I show you the mistakes too, y'all, right? I don't edit that out. We all make them. All right, so I'm going to make sure that I really glue down the very tip, right? Because that's the part that I'm going to be bending and molding. So I want to make sure that I don't go all the way to the edge. You can see I'll have a little overhang, but I spend a little time on this tip making sure not only that the pipe cleaner is covered, but that is securely fastened there. And then I'm just going to make a hem so that I don't have frays on the edge, and then I'll glue the entire thing down, pulling it pretty tight. And there you go. Now don't finish the tabs just yet because we're actually going to use that to create the inset on our brim. I am going to cut off this big wonky little piece down here at the bottom. And now I'm just going to flip it up and use the cone only. So it'll be a nice tight fit when we put these two together. So I'm using the bottom of the cone, just create a rough outline here, pin it on either side of that circle we traced, and then just snip. So you're going to give snips, but you're not going to go all the way to the inside of that circle. So if you do and you're using a frayable fabric, you'll start to see it fray. But what we want to do is go right inside of it and let the fabric stretch a little. So you can see I'm right inside of it. Now I'm going to snip each of, or about a 1/2 inch little tabs all along the bottom of this piece here. And that way I can just fold it down and glue it and make sure it's nice and tight all the way around. So the idea of this kind of hat is that it looks seamless. And if you mess it up, don't worry, we're going to cover it up. But if you also can cover it up with like ribbon or a decorative trim, like a pom-pom trim or something like, or spiders if it's a witch or whatever. So don't worry, but we want to make it all as tightly fitting as possible. So here I'm going to just measure out some floral wire that goes all the way around the outside. I am going to make it smaller than the outside of my hat because again we're working on the wrong side, which means we're going to flip this all out, right? So what we're going to do is just make a circular-ish shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you're going to cut a little bit of an overhang. That'll be our secure point. And let me get my snips. Cut that. I could actually cut this with scissors. It's Dollar Tree floral wire. All right, so you can see how big it is right now. I'm just going to squeeze it and bring it in and then secure the ends with masking tape. That's in everybody's craft room. I have like 70 colors of masking tape. I don't know where I got it. Probably Amazon. All right, so you can see I'm going to set that aside because now we're going to work on the brim. Somebody asked me to use this, so I hunted it down. It's called Liquid Stitch. If you don't have it, use a glue gun. I am not what you would call proficient at using this yet, and I'm going to show you why. There's mistakes, kids. Okay, so I'm using a paintbrush to make sure that I try and get it an eighth of an inch all the way around the edge, right? Spoiler alert. It doesn't stay that way. I let it dry for 30 minutes, undid the pins, and then turned it right sides out, which I'm going to speed up so you don't have to watch me fumble with that. Okay, now you can see I'm going to show you, woo, we got a whole big pile of wonky. Look at this. This doesn't look like a circle. Now it does get a little more circular when I take something not pokey and push out the seams. Make sure you don't have any holes and then tuck in your wire all the way around. You can bend it and then bend it back. So I made mine an oval and then bent it back into a circular shape. So here you can see I'm just going to pull my little brim down over the end or the top of my hat. So you can see right here. And these little tabs, as I glue them down, I'm actually going to pull it to where it almost lines up with the very bottom of this cone. And then I'm going to be gluing the top level. So there's 2 layers of these inner tabs. So you just glue the one on the inside and then glue the top one down. All the way around. Remember, you're lining it up almost directly on the edge. So you can see I put one down and now I'm going to glue this last little top one down right here. Easy peasy. And then honestly, like now comes the really, really fun part. I'm going to make a big little wavy part around the nose and then some little waves around the edges. And that's going to give me a nice little crown look here that I can put a big nose on. So I'm just going to glue this starting at the very top because I want to make sure I don't see any of that clay pot in front. I'm just going to put this. Now, if you did watch the faux fur pattern video, do make sure you can keep your shape of your pattern when you put it on your piece. So here I'm just making sure that I don't stretch it out too badly. And then I'm going to glue it down all the way around. This is upside down. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to split the fur to the fabric backing, and I'm going to add a generous portion of hot glue for my ridiculously sized wood ball for a nose. And then I'm going to put a little hot glue right on the top of the nose and on the inside of this hat. Just not really on the inside, just on that outside brim there, right there. And then pop it down onto the clay pot. Fun. And now it's time to decorate. So I got these little mini flowers at Daiso Japan. They have them at the Dollar Tree and every craft store. I took a little bit of floral tape, a sprig of reindeer moss, and one of these flowers and just made like a little set. And then I made another little set and put it on the outside of that first flower. And what that's going to do is it's going to wrap itself around. So it's going to make like a little arc. I'll show you. Hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself here. All right, so I'm just snipping off the excess at the bottom. So once you have 3 of them together, you can see it just puts it all the way around, a nice little edge. I made 2 sets of those, and then I started assembly with just putting sprigs of the reindeer moss directly onto the hat, all the way around. And then I added what I would consider a generous portion of hot glue to my little arcs here, and then glued those right down as well. And for the very back, I added a little bit of moss and one very closely snipped flower right at the back. Right there. Just tuck that right in. And you can add something dangling from the top of the hat. You can add decorations onto the body, anything you'd like. I just added a couple of more pieces of reindeer moss, just tucked in to make it a little fuller, and that is it. You can see it's a very simple craft. It has a fun, no patterned hat. Let me know what you think of this craft down in the comments. As always, thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe for more crafty fun. Hi there friends, it's Sarah with Ruffles and Rain Boots, and today we are making a Halloween monster gnome banner. You're so cute! And you can boop their little boops, 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 noses. If you'd like to make these with me, stick around. As always, thank you for being here. Please like this video so I know you're here crafting with me. And we are going to start out with a very long list of scraps. Okay, so I'm going to put the link down below so you can see everything. It's too much to go through, but I will say I used a little bit of different variations of fur and felt colors. But first,
Here with a friendly gnome reminder to subscribe. How? Just click that red subscribe button below and then the bell for turning on all notifications. Now let's get back to Sarah and the crafts.
okay, if you're new here, I have a lot of fun making those. Okay, so first up is our witch, and we're going to use black and purple felt, excess sock or fabric material, an accent of a little green witch nose, some merino wool that I've dyed purple, and a little gold accent for our hat. So we're just going to start out with our circle in our pattern, and we have all these patterns for you or you can just wing it. And we're basically going to create a little cone like we do for a normal witch hat. Or sorry, just gnome hat. And if you mess up like I do, just cut that little back flap off. But instead of making a true hat, we're just going to bend out the bottom and we're going to attach it straight to this circle, okay? Next up, we're just going to add a cute little accent. I chose to add a purple felt band all the way around, and then I just cut out a little rectangle with a rectangle cut out for a buckle. I mean, it's really easy, isn't it cute? I just want to make a banner of witch hats. Okay, so for the body, it's kind of like a sock gnome. I'm just using a little piece of fabric extra from a sock gnome. I secured one end, added a little polyfill, cut off a few inches, and this part is dependent upon however tall you want it. Mine is just a few inches big, but then I hot glue hemmed the top, sealed it all up, and just glued it to the bottom of the witch hat. Next up, after you color your merino wool with watercolor and let it dry, you can make your braids, tie them off with a little bit of embroidery thread, repeat for the second one, and then hot glue them right at the underside of that hat on both sides. Isn't she coming together? Add that little green clay nose we made or a wood bead, whatever you'd like, and your witch is done. We're going to set her aside really quickly and we're going to move on to Frankenstein. We're starting out with a green hat. And again, this is explained in the pattern in great detail, but basically I just want to show you, you're going to make 2 hats, cut off the green one, and then on the bottom of the black one, you're just going to create Frank's hair, right? So I just cut these little ridges up and down. They're really not even. But then you're going to build the black hat right on top of this green part for his face. See? You're going to add a little bit of glue to attach that black to the green. And then I tipped down the hats, added a clip, and let that dry. Next up, I just created a little bit of green fur with watercolor and white fur. And then I just glued the fabric backing to the back of the hat, added a little green clay nose. There you go. And then I also scrunched the black part down onto the green, so just kind of scrunch them up together. 100% optional, you do you. If you want to make a teeny tiny little scar for Frank, you just roll a piece of black felt in your hands, add it to kind of wrap around the side of his little face, and then with other little scraps, you just cut little pieces, and then you place them vertically. So you just perpendicular to the scar, and then you're done. Well, you're not actually, because if you want the posts on the Frank, all I did was take foam, like craft foam in gray. I rolled up a little bit, added hot glue, and snipped off the end. And then you can use a clip to secure that while you make the next one. But you're just going to repeat that for a second bolt. And then you're going to cut little teeny tiny circles out of the scraps of your felt or foam, and then just glue them to the top of one bolt, and you're done. So if you repeat that for the other one, now look what you get. It's super cute. Just attach them in the back, leave them kind of the length that I have them in the pattern, but attach them to the back, and look, it's a Frankenstein. I cracked myself up. Okay, so now we're gonna do Dracula. So I do have a Dracula gnome coming. Oh, hopefully I can get it, filmed before Thanksgiving. But what I did is I just took 2 teeny tiny triangles of white foam and added red paint to the ends. Oh, and now a little break from your viewing no, I'm just kidding. Let's stop that. All right, so we're just going to brush out some Mongolian fur. If you're new here, it is my favorite fur for gnomies. And we're going to make a black hat. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, just like we did for everybody else. I bent it at the top and again secured it with a clip so you can see. Boop. And now we're just going to cut that Mongolian fur down into a sort of ish triangle. Use what you have. This is a scrap project. And we're just going to glue it to the back of our hat. A little brushing out again. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do it to you. We're going to add a little bit of glue for our nose. We're going to squish our nose hat down. Now, this is fun. So I want you to make sure that you split your fur to the fabric backing, add a little bit of hot glue, and then attach it. They will stay way better and won't move around if you attach it to the fabric backing. Isn't it cute? All right, so this is 100% optional, but if you happen to have a dollar store and happen to have a bat toy from the dollar store, snip off the wings. They're super cute. We're going to hot glue them to the back of our vampire hat. And look. Ooh, he's so spooky. I'm just kidding. He's adorable. All right, now we're going to make a fun one. We're going to wrap up a mummy. So we're starting out with a white hat base, and we're going to make little snips in a t-shirt or just canvas fabric that you have and make them really uneven and gnarly and ragged. And then we're just going to start with one end, attach it to the hat and wrap it. Now you are going to leave a little bit of space in between these so we can get another piece and wrap it around, but you're going to glue it down in various places to secure it. And you just do the whole hat. It's super cute. I opted to pin down the top of the hat, but be sure to leave that tail if you want the same look of the nose that I have. I just cut crinkle fur in a sort of ish triangle and attached it to the back of the hat and on the inside. Added my little clay bead nose. You can use a wooden bead, you can use a pom-pom, anything you'd like, and then pulled that bottom tail that we left under the nose, attached it to the back, and look. Woohoo! Hello, mummy. All right, for our last gnome, we're gonna start out with a white base because we're gonna scare up a cute little ghost. We are going to add a little bit of decoration to our hat here. We're just gonna create 2 large circles and 1 small circle out of black felt. I'm gonna tip down the top of the hat, secure it with a clip, and then glue on the face. Bam! We're using a little bit of white Mongolian fur here, gluing it to the back of the hat, adding a little nose, and guess what? You are legit done with the ghost. Now we're gonna spill these little foam balls everywhere. Cut about a 5.5 foot piece of embroidery thread, string some of the balls on, and then go through the back top of the hat for each of your, like this, there you go, for each of your little monsters. And we're just gonna repeat that. You can use small ones, large ones, any color pattern you want, or willy-nilly. And then just repeat that for everybody. At the very end, make hanging loops, and you are done. Isn't it so cute? And it's a great scrap buster. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, please like this video and subscribe to Ruffles and Rain Boots. Well, that's it for me today. Let me know down in the comments section which set was your favorite. I think next week we're going to be starting Christmas here on the channel. As always, thanks for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe for more crafty fun.